pay, and he makes. Okay. Who nishba v'naitel? So, um, so the like we said, the chemeni can make a shvua to the boss and get him to pay the money. And in addition, the employees who were told by the boss that he has to they're going to get paid by this chemeni, they say they never got paid by the chemeni. They say they can go to the boss and get him to pay them as well. So this poor boss is going to end up paying twice. He's going to have to pay both to the chemeni as well as to the employees, and they're both the employees as well as the chemveni can make a shvua to be noitel instead of the boss making a shvua to absolve himself from paying. Omar Bananas said, "Ketzad elu ve'elu boyin lidei shvua shav." How can we force two people to make a shvua to be noitel mammon? We know if they're both going to make a shvua, we know somebody is making a shvua shav. How could the chachamim create a situation where we're causing someone to be over essentially a deraisa? They're making a takanas chachamim that they have to swear, and one of the two is going to be making a shvua. That's false. Elohu noitel. So the Ran, the Maseres Hashas says the Girsa Ran, hu noitel b'shvua. The chemeni makes a shvua. V'hei noitlim beloy shvua, and the employees take below shvua. The gus that is who noitel beloy shvua v'hei noitlim. They both don't make a shvua. The Ran Svara makes a little more sense. We're just trying to address the problem of that they can't have contradictory shvuos. All you need is one of them not to make a shvuah. So why would you make both of them? But the Mishnah seems to say, why should we don't have any reason to prioritize the chemveni over the employees, or the employees over the chemveni, that which one should make a shvuah? So we don't make either of them make a shvuah, since they both can't make a shvuah. Amal chemveni tamely bedina Paris. He said to the chemveni, this is talking about a storekeeper. Give me I'm paying you a dinar. I want a dinar's worth of Paris. And he gave him, the storekeeper gave the buyer the Paris. Amalei tenli I say dinner. Okay, I gave you the Paris. Now give me my money. Amalei nasativ loch v'nasati ba'umpuli. He said you were distracted. You were on the phone, and I gave you the money, and you already put it into your register, into your bag. In this case, the balabayis, so the chemeni is trying to be mitzi money from the balabayis. The balabayis has to make a shvua that he gave him the money. Amaloi Tainli, what about the other way around? Amaloi Tainli has a Paris. That means he said, the buyer said, I gave you already the dinar, and now I want you to give me the money, the Paris that you never gave me. He said, I gave it to you and already went home. You're coming now for the Paris. You left and you came back and you already had got the Paris. Yishba Chemveni, he makes a shvua and then he keeps it. So in both of these cases, these are two cases where this is not a continuation of the first part of the Mishnah. We're giving examples of someone who makes a shvua to be mitzi mammon. This is someone who is denying paying money. He's saying and therefore I don't have to pay. And we're talking over here about the shvuos, a shvua that you don't have to pay money. So l'chayr, this is saying, even though we said that there's general rule that when you make a shvuas heses on any kind of shvua where someone's trying to be maitzimam, and this is in addition to that. That's a takanas chacham from the time of the Gemara. The Mishnah said, in addition, when you have disputes about a purchase, which is obviously something that happens all the time, it's a very common type of transaction. The chamu masakin on top of the general amaroyim Amoraim Shavuos Hesses, they also masakin on common types of transactions that you have to make a shvua before you can deny money. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Kol Shaperes V'Yada Yodal Yoyna. Yehuda says he disagrees. He says he doesn't have to make a shvua. That in the first case, right, the second case, we're not talking about Rabbi Yehuda says Kol Shaperes V'Yada Yoyna, which Rashi explains, because we said the Balabayas has to make a shvua that he gave the money, and he's disagreeing. He's saying that once you have the pay, there's no such thing that a store owner would hand over payers without getting paid. It's almost automatic. When he gives over, he says, "Where's my money?" And if it doesn't come right away, he's not going to wait. So therefore, there's no need for the customer to make a shvua. Now, similar case. Instead of talking about buying things, we're talking about someone who's asking for change. He gives him a dinar and he wants small change in exchange. He gave him the shulchan, he gave the money changer gave the change, and he said, "Give me the dinar." You already put it away. The balabayas makes the shvua, and he doesn't have to pay the dinar. The other way around, he gave him the dinner and he said, "Give me the mois." And the money changer says to the balabais, "You already got the change and you put it into your wallet." Yishba shulchan, he doesn't have to pay. You can make a shvua that he already paid. He says in the first case, it's not normal for a shulchani to give change until he gets his money. So therefore, the balabayas does not have to make a shvua. I'm saying the balabayas is not. What's the first case? We said instead of yishba alayis, you can take it without a shvua. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be able to. The balabayas will be able to keep his money and not give the dinar even without a shvua. Kishem she'amru. The Gemara continues. The Mishnah continues. Just like we say, we came across this case of pagemis ksubasa earlier. This is a woman who has a ksuba. Ksuba is a shtar, the saying that her husband owes her money when they get divorced. If she's pagemis ksubasa, she admits that she got some portion of the ksuba. If she wants to collect her ksuba from her husband, even though she has a shtar, she has the ksuba, she's not going to get it unless she makes a shvua. Or not that she admitted that part of it was paid, but there's an eid echad that said that the husband already paid the ksuba. She's going to have to make a shvua to be goiva to claim her shvua from her husband. If the wife is coming to take the payment, the husband says, "I have no money to pay the ksuba," or if he's dead and he says, and there's no money in the estate, so she wants to take from karka that was already sold, or if he's dead and she wants to take from the estate that the yisaimim already got, she has to make a shvu in order to get them. In addition, if the husband, let's say, was megarish her, he was Medina Hayam, and she's coming to take the ksuba after he was megarish her from his property that he has locally and he's not around, she has to make a shvu. He's not there to defend himself. Yisaimim will not make cannot get money from someone that owed money to their father unless they make a shvua. That means we're talking over here where they're coming to collect from not from the person who owes the money himself, but from his descendants. So they're going to have to make a shvua to be mitzi mom. Shvua shaloi pakadnu abba. So what shvua are um, what shvua did Yisrael make? They don't know the details of what happened. They don't know if their father paid or not, or if he was paid. So they say shvua shaloi pakadnu abba. They have to make a shvua that our father did not tell us before he died, or the loy amalanu abba, or a father did not had not told us any previously earlier shaloi mitzinu bein shterois of shalaba, or we didn't find amongst a receipt anywhere amongst our father's possessions or amongst his documents. Shestar ze perua. They have to make a shvua that they don't have any knowledge. They have to. It's not a shvua saying that we are definitely owed the money, but they make a shvua saying that we don't have any knowledge that the money was already paid. We're talking about where they have a star, and they're coming to collect the debt, or it's yeah. So they're going to make a star that they don't have any knowledge it was paid. Says even if the son was born after the death of the father, so there's no way he could have been told by his father at any point that it was paid. He still makes a shvur that he didn't find any documents amongst his documents, any receipt amongst the documents. If you have Adam, he says that if there are Adam that it was paid, that the father had already said, he clearly said that there was no, it wasn't paid. It's not incumbent on the children to make an additional shvur that to corroborate what the Adam are saying. That's sufficient. We don't need this. Unlike the Tanakam who says they always have to make a shvur. In this case, he says, Rav Shimon Gamliel says they don't have to make a shvur. The Elun Ishban Shaloi B'Tainis Hashut. And these are people, like we said, that normally you make a shvur only the one who is defending from Shaloi B'Taina. Normally the shvur devolves on the person who is denying owing money. We said a bunch of cases where the person making the taina can make a shvur, and now we're saying these are people who can make a shvur even without there being any taina against it. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean without any taina, because what would you make? Well, what's there to swear to? We're talking about where there's no tainas bari. There's only a tainas sham. So saying these are the people that can make a shvur, even if the other person is not certain. He just says, I think, I would like you to make a shvur because I don't trust you. Hashutfin, someone who's a shutif, ba'arisin, or a sharecropper, where they have an agreement that they're going to pay, the aris is going to pay a portion of what he produced. Va'apetropin, and administrators of an estate, va'isha, hanesaso, hanesenes psechabayis, a woman who takes care of the affairs of her husband's household, uben abayis, the son who is the executor on his father's estate. Amaloi ma'ata toineni. He says where the person said, all of these people said, what do you want from me? The administrator said, what do you want from me? The woman, the aris, said to the landlord, what do you want from me? And he said, I want you to make a shvur. I'm not comfortable with this situation. I don't know that you are honest. And we say the chayiv. All these cases he has to make a shvur, because all these cases the person feels like he's working on behalf of someone else, a shutif and a aris, and he says, I really am owed more than what I'm getting paid. So there's a reason to suspect he's Meira Hetel Atzmai. As we all know, right? This is a very practical thing. Someone who has access to someone else's account and he's working hard for him, he thinks he's allowed to maybe be a little generous. He's chayav to make a shvur. But once this already happened, the shutuf and the aris already divided up the property, You can't force him to make a shvua once it's already done. It's only at the time of the halukah. However, if the aris or the shutif has to make a shvua for some other reason, then you can also, even after the shutvis is included, you'd ask him to make a shvua about the shutvis. However, all these, when we say that he has to make a shvua, it can be megalgal of a shvua, once Shemitah comes, and that cancels, it's mishamet, any debts that pre-existing, then he can't be megalgal of a shvua because the debt doesn't exist anymore. The person doesn't have to pay even if he was owing it. Okay, let's just quickly see, the Gemara is going to give the basis for this discussion. Where does it come from that the shvua in the Torah always comes to the person who is the one who is trying to have money taken away from him, the nitva? The Amakra, Lokach Ba'alav V'lo Yishalem, Misha Olav L'Shalem L'Shvua. It's talking about someone, a shomer, having to make a shvua to avoid paying. It says the one who would have to pay, Lokach Ba'alav V'lo Yishalem, he makes a shvua and then he doesn't have to pay. So the person who would have had to pay, he's the one who makes the shvua. That's the general. But we said these ones make a shvua and they do take. Maishna sacher, the takinu le rabbanan, the mishnah. Why it was a sacher? Did the chum make a different? Did they make a takanas chachamim that he can make b'nishba b'naitel? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel halachas gedai l'shanu kan. So this is a great halacha. Zaktamar halachas hani hilchas in it. The Gemara says you're saying halacha. Halachas means halacha l'maishu misinai, something midaraisa. These are hilchas. This is just the rabbanan. So why do you call halachas gedai l'shanu kan? Let's say it's a grace takana. So you make it sound like only how this is very important because it's a halacha gedola. It's takanas chacham gedola, but not such a great takanas chachamim that you don't have to pay attention to. But the Gemara is asking, there's no distinction. Right? Once the chacham is sack, and then you have to listen. These are things that are permanent. They're long lasting. The reason why the Chacham took away the shvua from the balabais and they gave it to the sacher is because the sacher needs to make a living. He needs to get paid in order to live. So the sacher constantly the balabais. Does it make sense because the worker has to make a living? We make the balabais lose his ability to make a shvua and avoid paying him. Balabais kufi. Balabais also doesn't want to. He needs the money also. What does that mean? He also is happy to be in the situation that the sacher will make a shvur. In order to have access to pailin, if he could always make a shvur, if the balabais could deny paying by saying he already paid, no one's going to want to work. So he prefers to have this situation. He says the balabais is going to be reluctant. He's going to try to automate everything because he doesn't want to deal with workers who are always going to be claiming against him. The Gemara balabais al koche balabais al koche oger. When it says the balabais is going to have to, in order to run a business, he's going to have employees. The balabais, that's not a time. They have the same problem for the employee. He needs a job. The balabais is tired b'paylafu. The reason is because the balabais, the reason why he doesn't make a shvua is because he's busy with a million things. At the end of the day, his head is toast. He can't remember who he paid and who he didn't. But the employee only has one. He only gets paid. He's very focused on getting paid. So why taka? If we're saying that the balabais is tired and he's not clear, let him pay without a shvua to the employee. So because the balabais is going to be nervous if the employee can show up and say he wasn't paid and he doesn't even get a shvua. So in order to avoid a shvua, let's have the balabais only be required to pay it to him with edim. It's going to cause too much bureaucratic difficulty to get edim to stand there every time you pay someone. Says so let him pay him in advance. Everyone prefers that you first work and then you get paid afterwards. Rashi says because the Balabais, at the end of the day, he's going to make money from their work, so that's where he gets the money to pay them. And the Pile knows once the money is in his hands, he knows he's going to spend it. He'd rather not get it till afterwards. If that's the case, even in the case where a Balabayas said, where they're arguing about how much money was agreed to be paid on, that Alamatanya, we said, the Omen says, you agreed to pay me too. Over there we say, but if we're saying the Balabayas gets confused, why is he able to say to the Omen, I'm only paying you one because you're trying to be Maitzi from Imaman? So that people don't get confused about. It's only that at the end of the day, he has a bunch of employees, he doesn't remember who he paid. But as far as how much it is, that he does remember. We had a similar thing, by the way, we said before, Legabi, when we said how much, we said a person owed 600 zuz, and there was a dispute about whether it was worth 4 or worth 6. We came to a conclusion. It was one Ma'anam who says everyone knows the value of whether it was 4 or 6 zuz for each office. So even if it was after the Zman of paying it, this din that we say the Sachar is Nizba B'Neitel, that doesn't include after the time passed for him to pay. Because we know the Balabais can't wait and pay because he's B'Yayver and Baltalin. Why don't we say that the Balabais, he wasn't over Baltalin, he just didn't realize that he didn't pay him. That's before it's over Baltalin. Once it's talking about being over on Baltalin, he'll remember. You're saying the Balabais is not going to be over on Balsalim, but if the Sacher gets paid without what he's not entitled to, he's over Balsigel. But the Gabe Balabais, it could trade Chazaki. Chada, the Balabais, over Balsalim. V'chada, the Sacher, Mishiskari. First of all, the Balabais is not over Balsalim. In addition, the Sacher is not going to be patient waiting for the next day. He's going to come and claim his money. So therefore, there's 2 Chazakas, and that's why, in the case of Avar, we say the Balabais can say, okay, we'll stop over here. Shkoyach, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'll have to figure out if I'm going to do 6:25 or 6:30. I'll send out a